Hey everybody, this is David Schooley with the Big John MMA Fight Club. I'm here talking about fights, and I'm here talking about some awesome fights. I know I say that almost every time, but the cards just keep getting better, and man, Bellator is putting on some cool stuff. But let me introduce this beautiful man who's sitting right in front of me. This is Big John McCarthy. How you doing, man?
Well, everyone knows you're a liar when you call me beautiful.
I just wanted to be on record one time saying Big John is beautiful. I think that's great. So hey, listen, John. We're talking about some fun stuff here, man. Bellator is bringing in a feature fight, and it's with two guys you've known for a very long time. So, as always, I never ask you for predictions, but I always want your insight because you know these guys and you have some great stuff to say. Let's talk about Rampage Jackson heading up against Tito Ortiz, man. This is some cool stuff, and I got to hear what you think.
Well, you know what's there are some guys out there that have seen these guys fight quite often.
Oh yeah,
because they used to spar all the time. And they know each other very well, and
Yep.
they know what each other's good at, and they know what they do. They really know what they want to stay away from each other. And so, Quentin's going to want to stand up with, Tito and throw, big right hands and left hands at him and hurt him with the punches. And Tito's going to want to try to get inside and make Quentin work.
Yep.
I think Tito is looking at this fight as, he can win this fight. Needs to take a page from the past in a fight that he had against Frank Shamrock long ago, where he was the bigger, stronger guy, and he got run down. He got rode like he was a horse, and I think he wants to take Rampage and make Rampage work in this fight. Run him at an RPM that is going to be hard for him to hold on to. And eventually that RPM will start to make the piston start to, seize a little bit, the smoke come out of the engine, and just start to make it to where life is just not fun at this moment because I have run at a pace that is too hard for me. Both of them have their ways of winning the fight. They can both win the fight. And it's an interesting fight when you look at it because they're both going to work at it in a different way. Quentin's going to come in and try to put a hurting on him with big punches. Quentin is more of a boxer than he is, MMA fighter at this point because he really doesn't take many people to the ground. I don't think he's going to really try to, get Tito to the ground. He may, which would be good because it would make Tito think of more than one thing, but he's going to try to hit him with the big right, big left. He'll bring a kick every now and then, but Tito's going to have to be smart in the way he goes after Quentin. He knows Quentin's strong. He knows Quentin is tough. He knows Quentin can take big shots. Tito, probably doesn't have the power to put Quentin away with punches. He could possibly do it with a kick. He could do it with knees. But this is an interesting technical fight in how each guy is going to approach the fight and what they're going to try to do to get that victory.
Yeah, I agree. I have a question though. When I'm talking to people around about this fight matchup, I keep getting a question asked to me, and I want to pose it to you. Do you think that they've maybe changed their strategy quite a bit away from the cage for a little bit? You think we're going to see anything new, or do you think we're going to see just a smarter, more technical version of each of them?
You know what? I hear things all the time. People, oh yeah, he's working this, he's doing that. When the curtain goes up and the lights are on and you're all alone in that cage, you tend to resort back to what you do, and what has made you successful. And both of these guys have been successful. And both of them have had hard times, and this is going to be a matter of, you need to be smart. The whole thing about fighting is fighting with your head. Obviously, they're both great athletes. Quentin is incredibly strong, incredibly tough, huge, capability of accepting punishment and continuing to come forward. Tito's a guy who is very good at dishing out punishment. He has fought the very best, no matter what anyone wants to say. He's had two fights with Chuck Liddell, where the second fight he had with Chuck, he was doing very well in the fight. He had his moments that he looked really good. People talk about, he can't stand up and fight. He can stand up and fight. He stood up with Chuck for 3 rounds there and did a great job. He's been in some battles with a big heavyweight like Forrest Griffin, who actually beat Rampage. Right. So you can look, and I would tell you the 3 fights they had, you can look at it as a toss-up. But Tito won the first, Forrest won the second, and they gave Forrest the third one. I think Tito won that third one. So you look, it's a question of You know, he obviously can fight. You know, he's older. Quentin's older. You know, that kind of equals
Absolutely.
it out right there.
Yep. Well, hey, listen, this is obviously going to be an exciting fight, but I have to say this. As exciting of a fight as this, as many people are anticipating, it's great, but man, the rest of this card really deserves some attention because the rest of this card, the other fights here are just absolutely amazing. So let's touch on some of those a little bit here. We've got the Lightweight World Championship going on. We've got Chandler versus Alvarez. These two guys are incredible. Incredible. And to see them fight against each other again, man, it's beautiful. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, you know, I'm going to go back to Tito and Rampage here, and and everybody knows who they are.
Right.
And you know what? Their job is to go in there and put on a good fight, but their other job is to bring eyeballs to the people that are fighting in Bellator that have championship belts right now.
Yep.
Because some of these guys are incredible fighters, and Michael Chandler is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Chandler is a stud. Michael Chandler is absolutely in the top 5 in the world, be it, you know, whatever promotion you want to put him in, UFC, Bellator. The guy's live. He is that good. He's athletic. He's a great wrestler. He hits hard. He's fast. He does it all. He's going against Eddie Alvarez, who was the Bellator champion for a long time until Michael Chandler took that title from him.
Right.
And that fight between those two was, in my opinion, the fight of the year. That fight was incredible. It was back and forth. There were times when I was watching, Mike almost puts Eddie out in the first round. Eddie survives. He comes back. He does pretty well in the second round. In the third round, he puts a beating on Michael, and I think Michael Chandler's done. In the fourth round, Michael Chandler comes back and starts putting a beating on Eddie. Just an incredible matchup with two superb athletes going at it. 100% incredible, and I just hope that this fight can come close to the last, be an absolute blast to watch if it comes close.
Absolutely, and the fact that this fight will now, I believe, get twice as many eyeballs because of the feature fight, of course, is just beautiful. Because if you haven't seen these fights, that fight that you're talking about was absolutely amazing. I remember the edge of my seat the entire time watching that fight. I got ridiculously excited when I saw these two are hitting it again. So I really hope for the same. I think that this is going to be an exciting fight regardless of whether it meets the caliber of the last one or not. It's got to be a good fight. These two guys are amazing.
Yeah, I think, sometimes there's just, the way guys match up, you put two guys together and they just, bring it, and the way they bring it, they just do it at a style and pace that makes the fight great. And I honestly think, Mike Chandler and Eddie Alvarez are going to put on another, November 2nd. I think it's going to be an incredible fight between two lightweights that could match up with any other lightweight in the world.
Yep. So, hey, listen, let's move on. We got another world championship going on, featherweight. Pat Curran and Daniel Straus. Tell me what your thoughts are there. These, again, I'm so happy these guys are going to get seen because they're just amazing.
Pat Curran is, this is the cousin of Jeff Curran, who's been, part of MMA for a long time. Great trainer, great fighter, and his cousin Pat is a better fighter than he ever could have been. And that's saying a ton because Jeff is great, but Pat is just a competitor, a guy that goes after fights, and I love the way he fights, and the technical aspect of how he does things is incredible because, we talk, simple training things. The first thing you're telling guys, when they're fighting, hey, hands up, chin down. Well, if you want to put a film on it, this is what I mean about chin down. This is Pat Curran. Right. Pat Curran is a guy I don't think you can hurt because he's so technically proficient at defending himself and the way he does things. His chin is always locked down to his chest, so he doesn't give you a good target of anything to hit. And he throws beautiful combinations. He's got great kicks. He's knocked a lot of people out with both his hands and his kicks. His ground game is phenomenal. He's got incredible submissions. He does everything well.
Yes.
And the guy he's going against, Daniel Straus, is another one of those guys you go, all right, here we go back to the 1% group of athletes inside of the cage Daniel Straus is an animal as far as athletic ability and toughness in fighting. There, the guy is strong, fast. He does everything well. He is, when you're looking at an athlete that you want to make a fighter, Daniel Straus is the mold you want to go after. Can he take the title from Curran? Pat Curran, Jeff's his trainer. Could he take it from Pat Curran? He can, because he has the athletic ability and the technical ability to do it. He's that good a fighter. Is he going to do it? I don't know, because I'll tell you what, I haven't seen anyone take it from Pat since he's gotten it. And, man, I'll tell you what, again, looking at the featherweights, Pat Curran is absolutely one of the best featherweight fighters in the world.
That's awesome. Great fight to watch. Another one. I'm going to keep going here because this is just so beautiful. Interim light heavyweight world championship. We got King Mo. We've got Muhammad Lawal against Emmanuel Newton. I love to watch. I've watched both of these guys for a while now. King Mo from back in the day, and then now back in Bellator, and then of course Newton is just amazing, explosive. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, this is a rematch here. And this is a rematch from, I think it was to get into the light heavyweight finals. And Emmanuel Newton knocked out Mo with a spinning back fist that just
beautiful.
Hit it perfect.
So
Stuns
beautiful.
him, hits him with a shot, almost holds him as he's going down. And the referee, Rob Hines at the time, stops the fight. It was a beautiful finish to the fight. I think it's one that King Mo wants to forget about.
Oh, yeah.
Saying that it was a fluke, and that's great for him to say. But I will tell you this. Mo Lawal is one of a superior athlete, an incredible wrestler coming into the sport of MMA. I think at times Mo has gone away from what has made him wrestling is his base, and he needs to stick with it. His hands are good, but you always want to make that person that you're going against have to deal with more than one thing.
Right.
And that's what Mo wants to think about in this fight. Emmanuel Newton, I've done a lot of his fights. I will tell you, Emmanuel's a quiet guy, but, man, he's a stud. The dude hits hard. He's got a gas tank, man. He fights with heart. He is everything you want. If you're going to train someone, Emmanuel Newton is the guy that you go, man, I want that guy because he's got it all. He's quick. He's strong. He's got heart. He doesn't quit. You can't ask for anything more. This is a great matchup, and this whole card is really a great card. They've got phenomenal fights on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get myself to stop because we haven't talked about. I mean, Czech Congo is going against Quiroz. Heavyweight tournament final. We've got the Spike TV Fight Master final, which is Riggs against Bronzolis. I mean, oh my God, I don't want to keep you here all night, but I got to hear a little bit more.
Well, the Czech Congo Quiroz fight. You look at these are two huge guys. Quiroz is 6'7". Congo is 6'5". Congo is a guy that he's unusual in that he's changed his style. He came in as a kickboxer.
Right.
Everyone's saying he's a great kickboxer. He still uses some of that kickboxing ability, but he's really turned himself into a guy that likes to grapple, likes to clinch, and then likes to throw knees. He's big into his wrestling. He likes being on top and taking control of the fight. I don't know if he wants to get into that grappling with Quiroz. He's talking about a guy that's really good in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He can end up having a problem there. He might want to stand on the outside and get back to that kick that he was so good at coming into MMA. It's a question that we'll have to see how he wants to do the fight. But Quiroz just ended up knocking out LeVar Johnson, a guy that's never been knocked out. Hits him with one right hand, puts him down and out in like 20 seconds. Incredible display of power. So, I don't know how you're going to look at, who's got the advantage in this one. The Bronzulis versus Riggs fight, that's a great fight, especially for Joe Riggs, coming back from, almost the brink of leaving MMA. And then doing so well in that Fight Master show and really showing himself well, putting up with a lot of stress. Joe has always been a guy that's had to lose a lot of weight to make the 170 pound. I think he's learned how to do that in a more proficient way. He's better at it. Physically, Joe Riggs matches up with anyone. He is strong. He is fast. He's tough. He hits hard. He hits like a truck. It's always been and everyone knows it, get into Joe's head. You want to get into Joe's head, make him not want to be part of this fight, and that's your way of beating Joe. And I think that he has finally learned at 30 years of age to how to deal with the mental aspect of fighting. And that's a huge thing, man, because mental is everything when it comes to the fight game. I think Joe has grown up. You know, he knows that this is his last shot. He needs to do well with it, and he proved himself, you know, just beautifully on that Fight Master show of what he's made of and what he can accomplish. Bronzoulis is a guy, you know, again, I've refereed him. He's a tough guy, throws heavy shots, and he showed himself incredibly well in that show by just having heart and having, you know, having something to fight for in his dad dying and saying, you know, I'm not going to lose. And you know what? When you got a guy that goes in there and says, I'm not going to lose, you got a lot to work on because, man, it's tough to get that guy out of there. And Bronzoulis is a guy that, you know, he put out a couple of good fighters in that Fight Master, you know, show. You know, when he put out Eric, I was like, God dang it, I'll tell you what, that's an incredible win for him because, you know what, Eric was an unbelievable wrestler. Great wrestler from Penn State. You know what, great athletic ability. And it was hard determination that kept one guy in there and just kept him plugging along to the point where he got a chance. And that's why Bronzoulis is in the finals. So this is an interesting fight. I don't take anything away from either guy. Joe did have the eye injury. I hope he's completely clear of that. Obviously, they're not going to let him fight if he's not. That's the real question here, but we'll see. This should be an interesting final to that Fight Master.
Yeah, I want to point something out. I mean, we've talked about this several times. I know you brought it up many times. I think any fan out there, and especially, you know, there's a lot of fighters out there that fight on the local level. If you're listening to this, I mean, the mental game is everything. I mean, you know, people that don't fight, they don't quite understand what it takes to walk into any ring and fight somebody. They're fighting against themselves. You've mentioned this several times. They're not worried as much about getting hurt as they are about not doing what their training is and not living to the potential that they have. I mean, it's a big mental game. And that's a tough thing to overcome for a lot of these guys, even at the professional level, right?
Absolutely. You know what? When you're looking at it, people look at fighters and they think fighters are so tough and everything else. You know, aren't you scared? Well, of course they're scared, but they're not scared of the things that other people are scared of.
Right.
What they're scared of is not so much the fight. They're not scared of being hit. They're not scared of that. They're scared of looking bad. They're scared of not doing what they're capable of and having someone make them look bad. Because they have family and they have friends and they have people that are there at the show or watching on TV that they don't want to disappoint. And they're carrying all that weight with them. And so that's a huge load that, you know, you have to experience it to understand it. But it's there.
And some of these guys, when they finally get, and I think that's what you were bringing up right there, was when they finally get to that point to where they can overcome that and they can control that mindset, if you will. That's when we see some truly amazing fighters, you know.
That's where I think that's right at the point right now. I think Joe has kind of learned, and he's getting to that point where he's starting to be able to deal with the stresses and the pressures that come with fighting.
Well, that makes for an exciting fighter. All right. Well, hey, listen, we're all excited about this fight. John, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate your talking about these guys and their history and what they're going to do in that ring together. We're all excited about it as fans. I want everybody out there, lock in your predictions with the Big John's MMA Fight Club. If you don't have it, if you're not locking it in, you got to do it. And John, thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Bill.